Bobby Gerould,
There he
Bobby
is.
G. What's up,
The
baby?
K-House finest.
What's going on, fellas? How are you?
Man, we are terrific. Editor of hoopobsession.com. Bobby, man, thanks for that post yesterday regarding your dad and KCR Radio 13. I'd never heard of that before.
Yeah, going way back, I used to hang out in the newsroom there with my dad when he worked at KCRA. He used to do the sports report. He was the Dale Rogers of his day, and the radio station was below on the first level. So I'd run back and forth between there and hang out with the DJs and bug them and all that. I mean, like as a toddler. And so yeah, I came across that and I was like, wow, 1320. I'd forgotten about that. That was the station.
That's crazy.
Terrific.
Yeah, I had no
It
idea.
is on.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Bobby, what do you think? I had leading into you joining us here. One thing I've been focused on with the Kings over the last two games, because we often get frustrated. Me specifically, I won't speak for anybody else. Get frustrated. It feels like they get down by 10, 11, 12. They try to make it up with like one or two shots, and they all of a sudden. And I think this is what it really stood out in the Pelicans game, where it was three after three after three after three. None of them were falling, and you're like, guys, just do something else. Make them take the ball out of the basket. And starting with Detroit, where they were really, really dominant into last night, they've had two really impressive games in the paint.
Yeah, I mean, if that's a focus, I love to see it. That's the closest place to score from, so it makes perfect sense. And you've got a beast like Domas. So, but to me, it's kind of a frustration for me over the last couple of seasons has just been, why not start Malik Monk? You know what I mean? Like to me, it's almost like you're playing with a hand tied behind your back a little bit, and that seems to happen too often. I think we're at the point now where it's unquestionable that Malik is one of the four best players on this team, and so if that's the case, I kind of harken back to and Damien, you might appreciate this because it's about music and radio, but there was a time when they used to day part music, songs that they would only play at night, right? Late at night. You get on the mix late in the night. And then someone who was very smart figured out that a hit at 11 p.m. is a hit at 8 a.m. And so they started playing some more racy stuff, some more hip hop stuff earlier in the day, and they found out that it works, and so you just have to get a little creative. I mean, if you start Monk, De'Aaron comes out at his normal time at 6 minutes. You slide Monk over to the one spot, and you bring in Huerter to play the two. And then when De'Aaron comes back in at the 2-minute mark, then you take Monk out. I mean, to me, there's got to be a way to get, and I think we've seen it the last two games, to get Monk more minutes. He's been basically the backup point guard. They haven't gone to Davion or Keon in the last couple games. And, if you look at it, you guys know I study numbers. That's what I do. I have a sickness for it. But I watch basketball too. And I always think that you can't just look always at numbers, and you can't just look at basketball. You need a nice combination of both. And if you really look at the numbers and the efficiency, it's a huge difference between what Monk produces and provides versus what Keon or Davion is providing. And for that matter, is a huge difference between what Trey Lyles is giving you right now than what Harrison Barnes is giving you. And so to me, I think if they made those two adjustments, and I think they're already starting to do it with Monk, I'd love to see it more with Trey, maybe reverse those roles. I think the Kings would be in better shape. How you guys feel about that?
I hear you. I'm in the camp of leave Monk where he's at, but I mean, if Mike Brown came out today and said, we're going to start Monk at the two, I wouldn't bat an eye. It's like, all right, it's cool, it's whatever. I just look at it where if you can get him to 30 plus minutes, and he's going to be in there now fourth quarter, I really don't care what you do the first 6 minutes of the game. That's usually my outlook on it. But once again, I'm not married to it. If he started, that'd be fine too. Trey Lyles, though. Trey Lyles starting at the 4. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. And I don't want to beat a dead horse when it comes to Harrison, but I just don't think he's been consistent enough to warrant the minutes that he gets and being in that starting lineup. And everybody wants to make a deal, and I understand that. But I would look at it, well, let's see what Trey Lyles does at that 4 spot before we go and give anything up in a trade, and see if we can improve that way. Then maybe you have Harrison backing up Keegan or Trey Lyles, Or I don't know. This is a crazy idea. Maybe Sasha gets in the game at that point.
Well,
who knows?
Now you're getting now
doing
now
too
you're
much,
getting a little too
doing
crazy.
too much. My bad. But I'm with you. I'd like to see Trey Lyles start at the 4.
Yeah, I just think they'd be, if you look at the numbers this year, Harrison is literally he has the worst defensive rating on the team. So, and I get it. I mean, Mike Brown played 11 years in the NBA. Mike Brown played 82 games 5 times in his career. So he has an appreciation for a veteran like Harrison Barnes who comes to work every day, does his job. But you guys have been over this a million times. We know what a good dude Harrison is. And it's hard sometimes, we forget, I think, in this day of fantasy basketball and 2K, it's easy to just move guys around it. But in real life, there are real feelings that come with it. And there's real respect and appreciation for what Harrison has done from Mike Brown, who, like I said, played 82 games 5 times in his career. He sees Harrison doing that work last year. And I think it'd be hard for him to, in a respectful way, take away those minutes. But as Billy Sparks said in Purple Rain, this is a business. And you can't be too far gone to see that, right? That's what he's telling Prince. And that's what's happening right now with the Kings. It's like, someone needs to deliver the hard news. And I think Harrison's such a pro that he'd be cool with it. If you told Harrison you're coming off the bench and your minutes going to be reduced to 15 or 20, he might not smile, but he might not smile if you told him he was going to play all 48. I mean, it's just, he's a good pro, and I think he'd be with it, and I think the team would be better for it.
And real quick, Damien, this is the thing that I would tell if I was Mike. I would sit down with Harrison. I'm like, well, Harrison, what do you want me to do? Mm-hmm. Like you're putting up stat lines of 0-0-1,
right?
On a routine basis. Like, what you want me to do? You want me to just continue to just give you this spot, or do I have to make a move, or are you going to step up and play better? Like, I got to give him some warning. Like, I'm almost at the point where I got to do something, but. Like I said, Harrison, what you want me to do? You just had 18 minutes where you put up 0 points, right. 0 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 for 3 from the field. You want me to just keep trotting that out there when the guy behind you is playing in 20 minutes, he doesn't average this, but Trey Lyles the other night against Detroit came in, got 8 rebounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, taking charges. Yeah.
What you want me to do? That's what I would sit up and I'd have a conversation and give him a heads up that this is on the horizon if things don't change. Because, like, what do you want me to do here?
And there are players, on this team. I'm not saying Harrison is washed up. We see what he can do. He can still make shots and I think play a role on an NBA team. But for this team, the primary scorers are established. You got Fox, Sabonis, and Keegan, and so you need a player. And there have been players in the league historically, and I think there are players you could find right now that can do something without having plays run for them. They're just activity guys that are quicker to the ball to get rebounds, that are good defenders, can with better length. I mean, Harrison he didn't win the genetic lottery. He has short arms, and he's always going to be that way. So part of that defensive rating struggle, I think, is just, because of who he is. So whether you go back to Cedric Ceballos, people laugh at him and think he's the butt of a joke, but really that was a dude. You didn't have to run a play for Cedric Ceballos. He'd find a way to score and off of cuts, rebounds, offensive rebounds, doing whatever he could do. I think there are guys out there. KJ Martin is a guy I've always really liked. He's rotting in Philadelphia on that bench, and he's an excellent cutter and finisher. I think there'd be something like that where I'd love to see, a little move made. And I'd love to see the Kings have another guard that can score. Watching Scary Terry last night, it was hard to not think, man, that'd be nice if, he'd be a nice luxury to have as somebody, who's in there. Tyus Jones, somebody like that who can come in and then maybe, you don't have to worry so much about what would happen if Malik got hurt.
Yeah, that's a great point. Bobby's always good. Bobby's always great for some solid references during our conversation. We'll call back to Purple Rain. It's
Billy Sparks, man, come on.
You talk about movements and scoring guards and all those different things. Like De'Aaron Fox, he had looked a little sketchy for a couple of days or for a couple of games, excuse me. And I feel like that happens, once or twice a season with De'Aaron. Last night, and make the argument even in limited time because the big boys didn't really have to play in the fourth quarter. He looked like De'Aaron Fox last night. And this is just so simplistic, but he's the key to everything.
Hmm.
Because there are games sometimes, and I think that's where it gets frustrating with De'Aaron. There are games sometimes where he's like really passive, and passive for him is just moving the ball around, maybe trying to get other people involved, but it's not attacking. When there's the threat of attacking, like I'd even argue he didn't have a great game against Orlando, but he was trying, like he was a threat.
Right.
And they had to defend every time he got to the basket, because if they didn't, what happened? Exactly what happened on the last play. Or the last made shot. He got to the basket. It eventually got with the game winning. Malik carried everything, but because De'Aaron was a threat through the other, 40, 50 minutes of the game or whatever it was, you had to take him seriously.
Yep.
De'Aaron
Absolutely.
is the hub of all of this, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And seeing De'Aaron improve his shot, he's legitimately making 3-point shots at a nice percentage now, and that's something that I honestly wondered if we'd ever see that. I thought, well, maybe he is just going to be a 30 to 32% career 3-point shooter, but he put in the work, and now he's getting it done. Domas is making that three a little bit more, and so even both of those things actually. I used to have a fear that if they added someone to the mix, the Kings wouldn't have enough shooting. But I think now that Fox and Domas are doing their thing a little bit better, with a little more accuracy from the outside, maybe you can gamble a little bit more with someone who isn't a great, shooter, but is just more of an athlete. I don't know if you guys have seen. Every year, again, because I'm a weirdo, I watch the G League for like a week and just, try to keep up to date. And then I do a little thing for my website about, who's going off in the G League. Last year, it was Chris Dunn. Now he's playing a nice role for the Utah Jazz. This year, it's Greg Brown, man, I don't know if you guys have checked out, but you need to YouTube Greg Brown and check out what he's doing right now for the Texas Legends. He's in the Dallas Mavericks organization. But I mean, this dude is an athlete like you wouldn't believe. And now he's starting to figure out how to play basketball now. So I just think, there are guys out there. It might take a minor move or something like that, but there are guys out there. And also one thing, I know you guys are probably pressed for a little bit of time here, but
good, baby.
Good, man.
Okay, cool. I did talk to my dad this morning. They actually flew to Philly last night. So they're there already comfortable and rested at the wherever the heck they stay. He said it's some
very nice hotel.
Right. I was like, where are you staying? Oh, it's a brand new Four Seasons. It's spectacular. We're up on the 60th floor. That you check in on the 60th floor, and you can overlook the city and all this. And I'm like, did you go to Mitchell and Ness? No, I didn't. What's Mitchell and Ness? He's so.
Unless Mitchell and Ness serves amazing food, your dad is not
right.
There.
No, or if they have a golf course, right?
Well, that's it.
Yeah. So, but I did hit him about Huerter real quick, and he said he spoke to Kevin, and Kevin has family in the area, and usually they all come to Philly to watch him play, and he said that was in question. So that leads me to believe that maybe he's not going to be able to go in Philly, but he was not in a walking boot or anything like that. Just had a little stem apparatus on his ankle, I believe. So there's a little bit of an update.
The stem stuff is pretty common, by the way. Like after an injury, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a device to stimulate the muscle.
It's like the gel on your
stuff, and it's like a pulsating thing that he could carry.
It just
around
contracts your muscle.
He could carry something around the size of a phone and control, like literally stimulating his muscle.
Yeah, they're like, how much can you take?
Right. Tell me when it's too much.
Exactly. Yeah. When I broke my leg, I had an introduction to that, and I was like, oh, this is
turn it down.
Yeah,
turn
exactly. Yeah. I have new respect for people who have leg injuries.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Those are interesting devices there.
Mm-hmm.
With Kevin, though, I want to talk a little bit about Kevin Huerter. How do you see his role moving forward? I'm just going to assume he's on the team, right? Like, do you think him back in the starting lineup is where he's going to stay? I know you talked about you like to see Monk there, but it doesn't, like Damian said earlier, it doesn't look like it don't matter what happens. Monk is never going to start from Mike Brown.
Right.
So do you?
Mike's going to continue day party. He said Monk is a hit, but only off the bench. Right. He can't start. He can't start.
Between the sheets is when you'll hear Malik Monk.
Right.
But so, I mean, how do you feel? Did you think Huerter, would always be somebody that came off the bench, or he would get that starting role back? Is that where he's most effective? Like, how would you play him moving forward with him on the squad?
Well, I definitely think he can play the 3 spot too. So I think again they could make some moves within the organization there to and I'm with you, Kenny. I don't really care if Monk starts or not. I just want him to be out there playing. I want 32 minutes plus or
Yes.
something like that. Somewhere, somewhere in that range. It doesn't matter necessarily to me if he starts or not. But I think at this point, Huerter's been better than Harrison. You know what I mean? And yet I don't see anybody taking Harrison's minutes away or I just feel like Herter's been a little bit of the guy that's been picked on. You know,
Yeah.
or they've messed with his livelihood a little bit and he's responded, I think, both times. I think he's a solid NBA player. I'm not sure he'll ever be I don't think he's ever going to be an all-star or anything like that, but I think he's a solid piece. And on this team, whether he starts or doesn't start, if he's playing 20 something, minutes a game, I think that's cool. I think he definitely has chemistry with Domas. When you watch those two play, the way Huerter cuts and the way he comes off of screens, it just jibes real well with how Domas plays the game. And I think Sasha could bring some of that too if he were given the opportunity, but he hasn't been given that. Well, I mean, he's had a couple opportunities here and there, but nothing real
Yeah,
consistent.
apparently they're gone.
Yeah,
apparently
right.
he's done. Apparently Sasha
Right.
Vezenkov's tenure as the Sacramento
Right.
King is over.
There's something there, I think, and again, this is 100% me. This, even though I talk with my dad, we talk a lot less about the Kings than people might think. I have a bunch more of my own thoughts about the Kings. Like he gets sick of listening to me. He doesn't want to. He that's his job. He doesn't
My day
want
off,
me.
Bobby. It's my day
Right.
off. Leave me alone.
Exactly. Right. He wants to talk about golf and car racing and stuff like that and what's going on and what music shows I've been to. But if you look at it, I just feel like they're not in a bad spot right now. I mean, they're winning. They're the inconsistency has been troubling, but I think again, you can correct a lot of that stuff just by playing Monk more. You just can't have those dips in efficiency that, Davion's just, I'm sorry, I've seen enough. It is what he's a great defender. He's a hard worker. And sometimes that's the unfair thing about, competitive athletics. Guys work hard and bust their butts, but there's still someone who's so talented they can come in and do less work. And I'm not saying that that's the case. Even I'm not saying that someone's not working hard. I'm just saying that we all know that that's the reality, right? I mean, sometimes hard work and being a pro and going through all your routines and dressing nice and all it's sometimes it's just not enough. Sometimes there's a dude better than you who doesn't do any of that stuff, and he can come in and get it done. And so I kind of think that's where we're at on some of this. Did that answer? I don't even know what the question was, but
Doesn't even matter.
all right, that's cool. That's one of the things I love about you guys.
What do you think about Randy Moss fishing during a sports center hit? That's all that.
But you called it. You knew it was coming, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, this is so great. So great. Bobby, man, thanks. Well, mention it. What is your next concert?
I've got a couple coming up. I'll go see. I'm like the president of the Guapole fan club. So
Yep. I know that.
She's coming to the Blue Note in Napa in a couple of weeks. Actually about a month, right around Valentine's Day. So I'll go see Guapole 2 nights in Napa.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go down to Long Beach, Torrance area to see a bunch of my buddies play in a band. They're called the True School All-Stars, and it's just dudes that play. The drummers from Earth, Wind and Fire, the sax player played with Prince and Sheila E. They're my friends, and they put on a great show. So
that's
what's up
here. Maybe a few weeks ago. I don't know if she performed. She was hosting like this event at Harlow's.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know if she actually sang.
I don't think she sang. Yeah, because I got the memo late on that one.
Bobby would have been there. If
I was upset. I was like, "How I missed this? What the heck is going on?" She did a thing last night. They had Dearon Coles had a birthday party somewhere in LA, and I saw her. Dude,
he's hilarious.
I love Dearon.
He is. Man, I know you guys both saw the Cat Williams thing, right?
Absolutely.
Of course.
All right, in its entire. I watched it twice.
Oh,
that's a lot.
I made two
7
hours
hours
and
of your
45
life.
minutes. Hey,
Yeah.
I watched it, and then this is so important. I made my wife watch it. I was like, we're watching this together. You need to understand what's going on. I love all that Hollywood weirdo stuff. Just oh man, I think that's the best.
You having an unnatural allegiance to losers is not like you.
It's not like you.
Oh, he dropped so much knowledge in that.
So here's the real question: did you watch
Yeah.
Stephen A. last night?
I did not. I did not. So what happened there? He went off on Whitlock.
Oh, for 45 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, there's just watching Stephen A. in this over dramatic delivery. It's so worth it.
What did he tell him, Davey?
Yeah. Did you tell him that? You bitch. Oh, so good. It's so funny. Bobby, you gotta see it.
I heard one D-Lo called Aaron Rodgers the same name yesterday. I think it was yesterday.
Did I call Aaron Rodgers that?
It
so.
happens. It happens.
So.
Yeah, that was funny. If I did it subconsciously.
No, you said it very, very consciously and loud. I heard it. I heard it.
Wow.
That happened.
Yeah, I think it was something like, "Bitch, shut up."
Oh. Now I remember. I remember because he said he was the Jets got to eliminate distractions.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You're the distraction.
Yes.
Oh man. That's
Yes.
tremendous. I got this graphic up on the screen. Friday, February 7th, Sky River Casino, 32 Brew Street. I don't know, Bobby. Kings and Pacers that night. I might have to come through and hang out with us a little bit.
Oh, I'd love it.
Nothing better than putting the pressure on in front of 500 plus viewers here on the stream, and God knows how many people listening. Just think about it. If your calendar's open, we could watch a little hoop together. And
February 7th, huh?
February 2nd, day of the Pacers.
Okay, February 2nd.
Yeah, keep that in mind, man, and we'll check back in. And man, we love talking to you, Bobby. Thank you so much for joining us.
You guys are the best. Anytime, anytime, anytime.